Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Brie Bear, and for some reason I started my video out like this. Okay, hey guys. I have no idea what happened there. You guys, I'm so confused with myself. And Happy New Year! It is 2019. I don't know. We're just gonna go with it, and yeah. It is no longer 2019 is what I meant to say. Start off the year completely wrong. And that means that it is time to round up everything from last year and take a look at it and talk about it. So what I've decided to do is look at my stats from two different sources. I'm going to be using Goodreads and also this magical, wonderful spreadsheet that I discovered just at the beginning of the year, but not close enough that I could fill out all the things. So I kind of had to like wing it a little bit, but I'm still going to be able to give you some of the stats from it, so that's pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and start with Goodreads first. Also, I apologize for how much I'm going to be looking down in this video, but that's where the stats are. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys so you guys can see it as well. I'm going to look at my stats from 2019 based on my Goodreads information. So for my 2019 reading goal on Goodreads, I set it at 75 books. The previous year was 65 and I met my goal, so I decided to up it a little bit, and I did so much better, I feel like, last year than I did the previous year, because the previous year I kind of ended up having to cram. The page is called My Year in Books, and then it has the year, so My Year in Books for 2019. So I read 28,141 pages across 75 books. Now keep in mind that some of these are audiobooks, so it doesn't really, I don't know if it tells you the exact number based off of what it would be if you read it physically or what for audiobooks, so keep that in mind as well. So the shortest book that I read was Random Harry Potter Facts You Probably Don't Know by Maria Caitlin, which I read in December. And then the longest book that I read was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, which is 984 pages. The average length that Goodreads has calculated is 375 pages. The most popular book that I read this year was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. 312,822 other people have read this, and the least popular book I read was that joke book that I read in December, which is called The Don't Laugh Challenge Stocking Stuffer Edition by Billy Boy, which I'm not surprised by at all. My average rating for this year was 4.2. Isn't that crazy? I am so shook by that. I had an amazing reading year looking back. I had so many 5-star books. I kind of want to do a video just listing all of the books that I 5-starred in 2019 because it was an insanely good reading year. The highest rated book on Goodreads that I read was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Not surprised by that. My first review of the year was Let Me Lie by Claire McIntosh. I did not actually review as much as I would have liked to, but I feel like I did review a little bit more than I have in the past. I want to get into actually writing out reviews for Goodreads, and my last book that I wrote a review about this year was the last book I read, The Afterlife of Holly Chase. I did complete my reading challenge and hit exactly 75 books, so that was pretty good too. So as far as that goes, Goodreads gives you some cool information, but it doesn't really give you a whole lot to go on. So I started using a spreadsheet, but the one that I used was by Brock Roberts. You fill in different categories and fill out a survey for all of the books that you read throughout the course of the year. You can also do books that you acquire, which I did not include because I started this later in the year, so I couldn't remember all of my acquisitions stuff, so I did not do that. I didn't do DNFs because I don't really mark DNFs. I just put it back on my shelf to maybe try again later. I don't really DNF books as in like never gonna finish them again or never gonna pick them back up. I usually am gonna pick them back up later on, so I don't like expect to not pick them back up. I just don't feel like it's the right time for me to read them. So now we're gonna go ahead and get into the charts that the spreadsheet created for me. So the first one we have is a pie chart for genre. So let's take a look. Let's see, wow, 32% contemporary and 30.7% fantasy. Wow, those are very, very tight numbers right there, like very close. Shockingly, 4% thriller, which is more than I expected. 4% magical realism. I know that I counted orange as magical realism. 2.7% edited journal. That is for, yes, this. That's these guys. They're edited journals. 5.3% poetry, 6.7% cozy mystery, 2.7% classic, 2.7% nonfiction, science fiction 4%. So obviously I was in the contemporary fantasy mode this year. Alright, so then it also does the same thing but as pages by genre. The largest one in this category is fantasy by far, and then contemporary underneath that. Next is science fiction, underneath that is thriller, and underneath that is cozy mysteries, underneath that magical realism and paranormal romance. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on that one. So, you know, I read more contemporary books, but I read more fantasy pages by quite a bit. Almost half of my reading page-wise was fantasy. So next we have format. So format is basically like how you read the book. So you have hardcover, paperback, mass market, ebook, audiobook, bind up, graphic novel, and manga. So we have hardcovers at 33.3%, trade paperbacks at 24%, audio at 20%. So none of that surprises me at all. I do favor hardcovers most of the time. I did read 8% audiobooks, or 8% ebooks, which is good because I needed to get through some of those. 4% manga, which was just orange. I don't think I read any other manga this year. Bind up, 4%, that would be bind up of the Summer Turned Pretty trilogy. Graphic novel, 5.3%. So then we have a bar chart for that instead of a pie chart, so we can see that in another format as well. So next we have length. So length is categorized as novel, which I had 69.3%. 9.3% was graphic trade, novellas at 6.7%, and then the 2.7 novelette, short story 2.7%. And we also have poetry at 5.3%, anthology 4%. Alright, so then digital versus physical. This is where it gets interesting. 73% physical and 26.7% digital. Which is hilarious because if I looked at my acquisitions, more books that I can actually add to my library are mostly probably ebooks. The page length. So 19 books of what I read was 300 to 399. 14 was 200 to 299. 11 was 500 to 599. 10 was 400 to 499. 8 was 100 to 199. 6 were 600 to 699. 4 were less than 100 pages. 2 were 700 to 799, and 1 was 900 to 999. Category for our next chart is year published, which is kind of fun. So only 2 of the books that I read were classics that came out before 1920, and then we had 1 that came from the 50s, 2 from the 70s, that was Go Ask Alice and Jay's Journal, but I have no idea what this 50s one is from. 4 from the 2000s, 1 from 2010, 1 from 2011, 2 from 2012, 7 from 2013, 9 from 2014, 2 from 2015, 6 from 2016, 12 from 2017, 15 from 2018, and 11 from 2019. So I did read a lot of backlist books this year, as you can tell, but I did read a lot of new releases as well. It's mostly concentrated between 2017 to 2019. Let's move down to publisher. This one is a fun category. This was kind of hard for me to categorize, but I think I did pretty okay with it. Yeah, Simon Schuster is definitely the biggest at 20%. And then underneath that is Audible Studios, which is 16%. Now, Audible Studios, the thing with that one is the Throne of Glass series, the audiobooks were produced by Audible Studios, but the book itself was obviously not produced by Audible Studios when it was originally published, so it was kind of hard for me to decide where to categorize that. So I did it as Audible Studios this go around, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it doing it that way or if I'm going to do it I don't know. Undecided. Sam is squeaking his toys. That's great. Love that. 13.3% was Penguin Random House. So that's not surprising. 8% is indie is my next category, so that's kind of cool. So that's any independent author. So that's kind of cool that that was my next category. And then we have Hatchet Book Group and Macmillan are even over here. Andrew McMeel is 4% and 7 C's. And Kensington is 2%. Walker Books is 2%. Well, 2.7 each of them. And then Disney Book Press is 1.3 and Tor is 1.3, which is surprising. Oh yeah, HarperCollins is 2.7, which is another surprising one. But this is the same information just in a bar graph situation. Okay, rating. I rated one book 1 star overall through the course of the year. I rated 3 books 2 stars over the course of the year. I rated 10 books 3 stars. 26 books 4 stars. And 35 books 5 stars. Most of my reading was 5 star. That is crazy to me. Alright, next we have books completed by month, which I knew was going to be December is the most, but let's go straight through the year. So 3 books in January, 6 in February, 3 in March, 6 in April, 8 in May, 3 in June, 10 in July, 3 in August, 8 in September, 7 in October, 4 in November, and 14 in December. So my biggest months were 14 in December, and then July, 10. I go back and forth between reading a lot one month and reading less the next month is what it looks like, as you can kind of see here. And then same thing, but pages. So in January, I read 1474, February 2707, March 1047, or 1049, sorry, April 2751, May 2818, June 1177, July 3709, August 1525, September 2988, October 2111, November 1198, and December 4656. Whew. Crazy. And then this bar one right here is the reading challenge goal, which the black line is where I should be at the year to stay on track to do with the straight line method. And then this wavy blue line is where I actually was at. So as you can see, almost the entire year, right until the end, I was below on my reading goal. Okay, so moving on, we have author gender. So I didn't go into a whole lot of depth. Mainly just did was I either went off the pronouns they put in their bio on Goodreads, or if they didn't have a bio on Goodreads, then their bio on their website. And just went with that, which I know that doesn't incorporate non-binary people, unless they put they or them. 84% female and 14% male, which to me, a lot of people are so big about reading female authors. Like, read all of the female authors, but like, there is such a small category of male authors these days, in my opinion. You know, I'd like to see it a little bit more even, I guess, if anything. But honestly, I'm not that worried about it. Next, we have protagonist gender, which this actually I do find interesting because so many books in YA are female protagonists. So this I found very interesting. So we had a 45.9% being female-led stories, and then 35.1% as an ensemble, and then only 12.2% being only male. Next we have age group. Wow, This one's interesting. So we have 72.6% YA. Shocker. And then we have 23.3% adult and 2.7% middle grade, which I believe that was just me rereading Nevermore and then reading Wondersmith. I think that's literally the only middle grade I read this year. And then I read one kid's book. So I kind of want to expand my middle grade and adult sections a little bit more and focus more on those in the coming year. It's one of my favorite things. And that is the countries. So it shows you where in the world you are reading. Legit. So 71.2% the US, which makes sense. But 12.3% from the UK, 1.4% from Canada, 8.2% from Australia, 4.1% Japan. None of those are surprising to me. 1% Africa, 1% France. Language, and it's, you know, the original language. So 94% of what I read was originally written in English, 4% in Japanese originally, and 1.3% originally written in French. A diversity chart, which this one I had trouble filling out for me because it's not something that I like focus on as much as other people as far as like remembering to, you know, write it down. So sometimes I would forget the diversity that was included. So this one up here, I'm not sure what this one means. Oh, you know what this is don't recall. 23% of it, I couldn't remember what the diversity was. So there's that. And then 24.3% says none. But again, some of that is probably don't recall actually. 32.4% I put combo. 5.4% mental illness, 9.5% race, 4% LGBTQ, mental illness I already said, disability 1.4%. So this is not my best tracking, so I'm going to give myself some grace on this one because of that. Moving on, series versus standalone. Standalones 48.6%, series 51.4%. So that's kind of fun seeing that I'm breaking pretty close to even on doing series versus standalones, which I like. I very much like that. This one's fun because rereading queen over here. So a quarter of what I read was rereads, which I'm perfectly happy with that amount. I'd be happy to keep it about right there. So reading challenge goal, 75. So books per month goal was 7. TBR year start I did not fill out because I did not count that. My average for books per month came out to be about 6.3. The total number of pages that it says that I read was 28,163. So it does look like Goodreads calculated the same way I did. My average per month, average pages per month was on average 2347. And then my average pages per day was 77, and then my average days per book was about 5. Okay, so that is everything I think is on this tracker here that I want to take a look at today. I'm pretty happy with my reading year. I am so surprised by how many 5 stars I gave this year. That's mind-blowing to me. Looking into the new year, I do definitely have some things that I would like to change and do a little bit differently. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of kind of looking back on 2019 and all of the things that I read, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
About your worries and your stress. I mean a bare necessity. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.